Hello friends, I'm the Otter. Today we're going to reseal the oil pump on a 4-cylinder Toyota 4Runner. So this engine code is called 3RZFE. So the architecture of this engine goes from like 95 to 2023. The newer model is called 2TR. The first step to get that oil pump O-ring or the front main seal is to remove all the drive belts. On the old school engines, we have 3 V-belts. So let me show you how to remove these. So the number one tip is all these belts will wiggle through the fan. Don't remove the fan. I like to start on the easy part and make things easy. Remove the battery and come into the alternator's front side to loosen the lock nut. Once the lock nut is loose, you just basically loosen this bolt on the other side. Quick tip here, sometimes you have to loosen the alternator mounting bolt underneath the alternator to get the belt to move. On this particular 3RZ engine, I don't think it was required. I can't particularly remember. The AC compressor, the small little belt, is super easy to remove. We have one lock nut on the pulley and then you come in from the bottom with a 14mm. If you put these in order, everything the way it came out, you don't have to think about it when you put it in because it's in the order you took it out. Once all the belts are removed, we need to remove the fan and its pulley. So you don't need the specialty tool, you're just going to get a pry bar, wedge it against one of the 10mm bolts like that, and then you can get a 10mm box end wrench in there and bust all those nuts free. Once the fan is free, we now need to move on to the shroud. So some hack jobs worked on this car, so it's missing some bolts. Remove this hose pipe and the upper radiator hose because we need to basically pull the shroud and the fan up. The shroud is held on with 4 10mm bolts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. After wiggling the fan free, you want to pull the shroud and the fan up together like this. This will prevent damage to the radiator and other components. You need to remove the radiator if you're doing the oil pump, but if you want to be a tough guy, you need to put some cardboard on the radiator so you don't damage it. Removing the crank pulley bolt is never fun even if you have an extensive amount of tools, so I highly recommend Amazon SST tool, the cheapest crank pulley holder on the market. So I definitely struggled with this tool and bent the bolts it came with, so let me tell you how to use the cheapest crank pulley holder on the market. Inside of the crank pulley there is 3 12mm bolts, so you need to remove those, and I forgot to film them. And then you're going to knock the 2 outer pulleys out, so you should have one single pulley like this. And then you can hand thread the Amazon tool into the back crank pulley. And there's little notches, make sure they're in the notches. This isn't a particularly cheap job if you don't have tools, so you're going to need 2 breaker bars. So the breaker bar on the tool is wedged up on the frame, and the one pointing up is going to break it free. And this took basically all the power I had. So there's no way an impact gun, half-inch impact gun, was going to take this bolt out because that crank pulley's probably been on there since 1997. If you're just coming in the engine to do the front crank seal, this job isn't particularly difficult, but I did leave the hook I used to basically wedge that seal out. If you're coming in here to do an oil pump, you need to pay attention very closely because I spent many hours frustrated on this one. So I tried every single technique under the sun to get these Phillips head screws out of the oil pump. Hammering every single expensive snap-on screwdriver I had, a massive run to Harbor Freight, and I did get it, but it wasn't easy. Now if you took the radiator, the AC condenser out, you might be able to get your impact Phillips head screwdriver in there, but with the condenser in place, that's not going to happen. The Phillips head screws holding the oil pump in place are literally cemented on, so I tried a torch. I don't have an induction heater, so I used my soldering iron and left it on there for like 20 minutes and then went back in with a really expensive Phillips head bit. There is no way you're going to physically get these Phillips head screws out by hand. You're going to need some kind of force, probably an impact screwdriver if you remove the radiator condenser, but I wasn't going to do that. So I went to Harbor Freight, bought an arsenal of screw extraction stuff. So let's see what actually gets these screws out. With a 3/8 ratchet and the correct bit in there, I just basically stripped out another Phillips head screw. So this was a very poor design because basically these get wedged in. So I got this right angle drill and some left-handed drill bits, and let's see if we can extract the screws out of that oil pump, because if not, the timing cover has to come off, the oil pan This could be very time consuming and expensive if this doesn't work. So don't mind the cylinder head missing off my engine. This thing needs to get rebuilt. I just wanted to finish this video in case your engine is staying in the car. So here is the trick to get this out. We're going to drill a pilot hole with a small left-handed drill bit, and then we're going to use a 3/8 drill bit, and it will break the tension on this screw. So I left everything in the description you're going to need to do this job. Don't even start this job unless you have a right angle drill, left-handed 3/8 drill bit, and some new Phillips head screws from the dealer or the correct thread pitch and size. Now this is a long series of videos restoring on a budget a 97 Toyota 4Runner, so that playlist is on your screen.